Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming out to our June Art Matters Art Talk. With Stacy Lund Levy and Eunice Turner, both are solo exhibiting artists here at Delting right now. Stacy is going to be joining us via Zoom. She had to travel, but we were able to work out the tech for her to join us. She's going to share some slides of her work. And Joseph Gerlach, who also has a show on the second floor, wanted to be here but couldn't make it because he's having a grandbaby and he had to fly out. So he really wanted to be here but couldn't make it happen. So Stacy Lund Levy earned an undergraduate degree from Hood College in biochemistry, as well as a master's degree in medical and biological illustration from the Johns Hopkins Art as Applied to Medicine program. That's so interesting. I didn't even know that existed. That's so great. Combining her natural artistic talents with her intellectual interest in anatomy and science, she initially worked as a medical illustrator. Stacy is a signature member of the Pennsylvania and Philadelphia Watercolor Societies, as well as a signature member and the Board of Governors jurying chair of the Baltimore Watercolor Society. She has exhibited nationally and internationally throughout the United States, Baltimore, and Alaska, and she's won awards both locally and nationally. She's going to share her work with us and maybe tell us a little bit about her history. Stacy, can you hear me okay?
Yep. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah. Everybody hear her okay? Okay, great. I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. I'm going to share my screen pretty quickly because I think my artwork is a lot more interesting than just looking at me. And it's going to take a minute for the screen to switch over. I love science and I definitely love art, and the two together are great, I think. I feel like there's a ton of different options when you combine the two, and my training in medical illustrator, as an illustrator, taught me to find all of the details and everything. And I know a lot of watercolorists are, you want to do washy, kind of nebulous, floaty things. And I like to do that in parts of my images, but I do love clutter, and I just love to put everything that I see in there. I have almost 100,000 pictures on my phone, and most of what I paint are scenes that I just find and I take with my iPhone. And I've never, early on I used a nice camera, but now I just use the camera on my phone, and it does a lot of things my other camera didn't do. So one of my favorite ways to paint is using only two colors initially, and they are ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. And this is one of the images. It's one of the first ones when you walk in the gallery, and there are two others of dogs and one of a blacksmith. And all four of those images are mostly burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. And with the burnt sienna, you get an orange color, which is very warm. And the ultramarine blue is a very deep blue. When you mix them together, about 50-50 with very little water, you get a black. And then anything on either side, you can get a warm gray or a cool gray. And you can do a lot with that, because once you have 100% black, down to the white of the paper showing through, you can do a lot of things with it. This has a little bit of a warm at the bottom where the woman is seated. She's got a little yellow in her hair, and there's a little bit of red on a couple of the shirts. But for the most part, it's burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. As I said, I love detail, and I love to catch just something in the moment. And I used to wait tables at a place very similar to this. Arenas is one of my favorite places in Rehoboth Beach. And there's always a moment when it's really busy, and you, as a waitress, you walk up and you look back and say, "Where's my food?" And they just look at you like you're insane. So that was it. They had kind of lost our food, and she was trying to find it. So I loved all the stuff on the countertops. I loved the texture of the chalkboard versus the metal around the window she's looking through, and the baskets and all the other parts, the shine on the countertop, that kind of thing. It's weird, but it kind of fascinates me. This is one of my students. Again, texture. I love stripes. That's one of the things that really I try to put pattern in all line work and textures in all of my paintings. And this is one of my students from Carroll Community College, and she's a very dedicated student, Nancy, and that's the position that she's usually in. This is my son, Max, and as I go through these, I love swimming, and underwater, like I said, my iPhone does many things my camera won't do, and newer iPhones are waterproof for up to like 30 feet. So this was one of the earlier ones, just getting the textures of the water, and I just thought it was fun. The reflections on the side where his elbows hit the bathtub, I just thought it was kind of cool. So this is another one. I put the camera down so that the lens was straddling the top and the bottom of above and below the water, and the reflections, if you're doing that, it changes when you see the image on the screen or as you're taking it, it changes microseconds from the movement of the water, the movement of the sun across, the clouds, everything. It's just the coolest feeling. And when you're under there taking the picture, there's no sound, so it's kind of a surreal experience. This is one of my friend's nieces, and she was willing to model for me over and over and over again, throwing herself off the side of the pool and jumping in and catching things. There's four small paintings on the back wall, and they're on aquaboard. And aquaboard is something that I've been experimenting with. It's a clay-like surface, and the first couple coats of paint you put on look absolutely horrible, but then you can layer up. If you're very very gentle with your strokes on there and not much pressure, you can get some very cool floating effects, and if you don't like it, the surface is almost renewable. You can run the whole thing underwater, wash it off, and it goes back to white and start over again. And that's the good news. The bad news is that if you put too much water on it, it wipes off everything that you've put on prior to that. So these are little 12 by 12s or some of them are 8 by 10s of underwater scenes. And some of those bubbles are blown on with a screen, just put water over a screen, or watercolor over a screen and flow through it. And some of it, if the water is clear, it dissolves the paint underneath. If it's colored pink, then if it's dense enough or saturated enough, it puts speckles over top. So it's fun. You can work back and forth. So it's kind of like oil painting that you can adjust, where you can't really adjust that much on watercolor paper. You can adjust on aquaboard. This is one of the bigger ones, and that's on watercolor. And these ladies, I tread water with the same women pretty much every day of the week. And this was over COVID, where six of us it was an outdoor pool, and we just hang out every day and talk about what we weren't doing with the rest of our lives. So it was really cool. And same thing, underwater, second by second, and all the little things on the background, the highlights on the skin, everything changes. Same with this, above and below the water. I really like the distortion, I like the reflections, I like the coolness. Like a hot summer day, you get a really cool feeling in the water, and warm on the tiles. And as I'm talking, if anybody has any questions, please chime in. This is another one of my friends, same thing. I haven't done many of these, but I also thought that's pink clear inner tube on the top, so this summer I want to shoot some more pictures. I dropped the inner tubes on, and then they cast pinks across the person or whatever's under the water, and there's some really cool effects that it's causing in the reflections. So that's my friend Melissa. I like to, again, science and technology. I really liked engineering on the way things work, and this gearing and the cogs. My husband wanted a picture with his bike, and that's why I'm in Kansas today, because he's doing a 200-mile bike ride in one day. So he's at the 100-mile mark right now. Just the chains and the cogs, and I thought it made a much more interesting image than him standing there with his bike, which is what he wanted. And I did one that way too, so to make him happy. But I thought this was kind of a cool thing to integrate the bike wheel, the circle of the bike wheel within the square of the format. I love, again, square formats, that's kind of cool. And this one also was mostly ultramarine blue, and you can see the underneath view of the house in the background around the trees, and then I glazed over it with some various blue ceruleans and some reds and skin tones. This was one of the first paintings I did that made it into an international show. And I was in the Rhode Island Museum of Art, and it rained the entire time we were there. And I just thought that the view out of the window was cooler than what was in the room behind me. It was clothing and fashion, and it was kind of interesting. But I thought the reflections of the roofs and outside was just pretty cool. And the sun was just starting to come out for the first time in 3 days. I also, not only do I like clutter, but I also like thinking about how I can paint something that isn't immediately apparent, like the underwater scenes and how to get the reflections in the water and the surface, how to get the reflection of the surface and the prisms of the light diffracting. And these chickens, I wanted to paint them with this fence in the front, and I wanted to be able to get their faces so that you could see everybody and highlight a few of them. And so it was a bit of a challenge to incorporate the fencing around the animals. And anyway, I just think they're fun. And so this is one of the images that I was talking about with the ultramarine blue and the burnt sienna. The wall background is pure burnt siennas. The trash cans in the front is a little grayed down. His suspenders or his overalls are blue. But everything else in there is a mix, with just the yellow added right at where he's putting the anvil down. And that he is a docent or a exhibitor, I guess, at the Shelburne Museum in Vermont. And it's just a very cool place to go. This was a blacksmith or a smithy shed that had been removed and put intact with all the tools and transported onto the Shelburne property, as has a steamboat and myriad of other things. It's a really cool place to get to go. These are also ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. And I was sitting in traffic when I shot the reference photos for these two dogs, and the car was violently shaking next to me, and I didn't know they were in there. And then as I inched up a little bit, the window went down and their heads popped out. And I had just enough time to shoot the picture before traffic actually eased up. So I don't know what happened to them. I never found the person that owned them. And I edited this a lot because there was spit everywhere and on the window after just a split second of them hanging with their heads up. This is an image I shot in Glasgow, and it was right around Christmas time, and there were tons of people in this shopping area. The whole place was packed, and there was this homeless guy sitting there, and in the huge doorway, and without fault, every single person walking toward the doorway, so they saw him sitting there, diverted and came through that little side panel. And I just thought the scene was very sad, and just told a lot about society. Just the dichotomy of what was going on there. This was the very first image, and this is pure burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. And the white of the dog, any of the whites that you see in these images are the white of the paper shining through. So the couch and the leather in the background, all a mix of the two, from the black to the warm of the warm grays. And then there's a little bit of blue, pale blue on the dog, but mostly it's just the study in grays and burnt sienna. And it's my neighbor's dog, and that's pretty much what he does all day. And I just thought he looked so relaxed. Just looking at him, if I'm in their house, relaxes me. I took this picture at of this bird and multiple other ones at an animal sanctuary in France. And I just thought he looked so regal, and the textures in it were so amazing. And it was a huge, intimidating bird. So he just looked like he had character, and I got a really good shot of his face. As I said before, I like challenges, and this bowl was enormous. It was at the Chelsea Flower Show, and it was a study in pink, and I wanted to see how far I could push that one color along with just green to make it interesting and see if I could get a focal point. And I don't know if you agree with me, but I was hoping to get the one main flower it's more or less centered right over the bowl, slightly to the right, as the one that your eye would go to. And so it was fun to paint. It was a little bit of a puzzle, and that's my artist statement. As I say, every artwork is a bit of a puzzle to me, and I like to approach things as painting the things that I know are there and are easy for me to see, like all the little dark spots in between these, and then you can fill in from there. It's kind of like putting the side pieces around the edge of the puzzle, and then filling in the rest. And that's pretty much, that's the entire room inside there. I did want to say that I am teaching a class at the Delaplane, and it's a one-day workshop with painting animals in burnt sienna and ultramarine blue with glazing and watercolors. So if you're interested, see Corey or Hannah or somebody. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Stacy.
Sure.
Any questions for Stacy I can relay to her? Did you study as it was biology illustration, right?
It's called Art as Applied to Medicine. So it's at Johns Hopkins. There's 5 schools in the country, and you do the first year of medical school, and then when they're doing, well, as we with the medical school class was doing anatomy and dissection, we stayed after and did medical drawings. So they're the drawings for surgical atlases and malpractice suits, and sometimes the zoo. I did a really cool project with the zoo before I stopped working in that area. So yeah. And pharmaceutical companies, and the government pays also for that kind of thing.
Were they doing training for you as like a general art training, or did you take that elsewhere?
No, well, you have to have you present a portfolio to them prior to showing up. Okay. So there were 5 people in my student class. There's like between 5 and 8 that they accept each year, and the other 4 people had art degrees, and I had a biochemistry degree. So I was a little behind on the art end of it. But then it's a mix between medical classes and art classes.
Okay, gotcha.
So, yeah.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Any questions at all?
What's your favorite subjects to do?
Your favorite subjects to paint?
People, portraits. There's not that I realized when I hung the show that there's not many portraits of humans, but I love portraits and portraits, figures. Now there's water. It's anything that I think is kind of challenging, but I think people's faces are the most interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
When did you start painting?
When did you start painting?
Well, this is a weird thing, and I was cleaning my house out. I had an art teacher in 2nd grade, and my painting got into the BMA at a school show, and it was because I only used the 3 primary colors. Which, looking back, I thought, wow, that's really cool, but I'm pretty sure the class was working with 3 primary colors, and I had nothing to do with that, and I just happened to have a painting of an elephant, and that's what they wanted. But I rediscovered that I liked to paint in college, because I had a degree in biology, and I didn't do any artwork until my senior year, and I took a drawing class, and I was like, ooh, this is great. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Stacy, thanks for doing this. I know it's not ideal doing it through Zoom, but I'm really glad we could make it work.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not there. Yeah. Have fun.
Well, it's great having you.
Thanks. Thanks for having me. All right. Cheers.
Talk soon. Up next is Eunice Turner. So Eunice Turner lives in New Market. Is that right, Eunice? New Market? Yeah. In New Market, Maryland. 3 years ago, she started a small business called Domadera Design, a woodworking wall art design company. Her exhibition in our 2nd floor hall gallery is entitled Lincoln's Triad, a visual chronicle of history, and it aims to open a dialogue between the past, the present, blending natural elements with historical influences to craft pieces that speak to the viewer. If y'all will welcome up Eunice Turner.
You're going to help me with, let's just click on that.
Yeah, you're good to go. Just arrow through.
How are you? My name is Eunice Turner. I want to let everybody know up front, this is my first presentation ever. I never talked to people before. Because this is my first art ever that I've done. So I'm a brand new artist, and so hanging in there with me, okay? Thank you for that. I started a small business 3 years ago. I stayed home with my kids for 18 years, decided to stay home with them, give the best of me to them. When my little one started going to kindergarten, I said, okay, what am I going to do with my time now? I can go back to work, or I can do something different. And I met this lady who is an interior designer and showed me all the tools that she has in her house. She does a lot of wood stuff for wedding and things like that. And when I saw the tools and I saw the machine she has, my mind just blew. But I said, I'm not just gonna stay and do this. I can do way more than that. So this is one of the things that I've done. I do plaques now for companies that request it. I do wall designs, 3D. And from there, I learned so many different skills that I can do with wood. And I said, I used to go to markets, and some of the stuff that I bring at the market, people would tell me, this is not for a market. You should be going to an art gallery. You should go to places like that. And I said, me, I'm an artist, I do art stuff? And they said, yes, you should try it. And that's when I pushed myself. I said, you know what? Let me give it a try. Let me do some real art if I can. And that's why I come up with the first one. It was him. I said, when I told my husband why I want to do Abraham Lincoln, why him? I said, because everybody else does it. And I wanted to do a little bit different. I wanted to learn about him. I wanted to create something that other people have not seen. So when I started with him, it took me almost a year because I only had the face. But I wanted to find out how to do something different, what to bring from the past, what to bring from the present, how to do all that in one piece. And that's how it took me almost a year to build the idea for him. As I'm studying and reading about him, the other pieces start coming into my head. And I said, I'm not just going to do one, but how about do the whole history if I can. I don't want to bring him as just a president, but I want to bring him as a son. I want to bring him as a human, and just him. And that's why this is a lot of pieces. There's 272 pieces in there that I have to hammer, that I have to cut. I use a scroll saw, I use a laser, I use a bend saw. You name it, but I'll make my pieces to fit in there. I learned how to use the acrylic paint too. I never done that before, like I told you. So he was my first one. Let's see. Yeah. So that's some of the tools that I use to carve, paint, and cut the wood. There we go. This is one of the last ones. It's Abraham Lincoln Memorial. So I show you some of the pictures, the process that I go through. There's the young one there, some pieces. Those late at night, me working. It's the best time to work. It's at night when all the kids are sleeping. Just at night time I work. And that's all my whole area there I was painting. This is all the pieces. I didn't want to just do him, but I wanted to do personal things that represents him too. And one of those things was his hat. I learned that his hat, he used to put his favorite things inside the hat. He would take his hat, and one of the things he took out of the hat was his favorite poem. Why should the mortal be proud? I don't know if you guys knew that, but that's his favorite poem. And that's why I implement that poem into that art. Maybe you see it upstairs, I don't see it in the picture in there, but it's all that writing is part of that poem, and I wanted to do that part. The pocket wash. As I was reading about him, I find out that in 2009, the Smithsonian Museum decided to open his pocket watch because there was rumors that in 1865 the jeweler guy engraved a message in there for him, and they wanted to know if that was true. And the message that he engraved in there, let's see, it's beautiful. It says it was by Jonathan Dillon in April 1861. And it said, "Thanks God we have a government like you." That was when the first shop was gone, first day of war. He engraved that in there. I never told anybody, close the watch and give it to him. In 2009, the Smithsonian discovered the message, and that's why I decided to do that part. That I said it's so unique, and I engraved that part in there. So, pretty much on that. So, yeah, if you guys want to ask me any question, like I said, I don't talk much, but I'm ready for questions.
How long does it take you to do one piece? Obviously, it depends on how much detail.
Well, the whole process from coming from here to put it into wood, I would tell you, to design it could take me a year to design the whole piece and everything, to put it. To cut it together, it can take me probably a month to engrave, paint, put all the pieces together. Before you see all this, in here, probably I've done like 2 or 3 before all the pieces fit in there, until I can finally get it to the point that I'm like, okay, now it's present. That's the process. What takes me really time is those details, designing where it comes in here. How can I put this into the wood? What type of wood should I use for that? Because some of the woods that I use in here is also part of him. He used to love white oak. He used to love pine, because those was surroundings around him. So I decided to do a lot of this art just with that type of wood too for him. So that's what I do.
How did you do the writing? Did you stencil it or hand?
That one, I engraved some of the little ones, and the other one I engraved it in the machine. Yes. So you have to. One of the things with these, what I decided to do is, a lot of people mention, oh, a lot of stuff is engraved, but that's what people cannot see the difference in here. I use technology to help me to do some stuff, but I use my hands to engrave that. A lot of the stuff you will see that I engrave, but I take it in my hand and then I shape it. I sand it, I carve it, then I give it that 3D look that you have that machines cannot do, only hands. And that's what I do. I try to use whatever is up there to try to get me to get it in the way that I wanted to look for you.
I was going to say that 3D effect is amazing, like how you do that in detail.
That's one of the things that I like with artists. I see art, but I like that 3D. I wanted to always, if you see it or you will see it. And I wanted to make sure that you get the kind of like the new look with the old look.
Yeah.
It's what he was and what he is today, what he still means to us. It's like I never seen that he died, but he still brings life to all of us. And that's what I wanted to do with some of the artists, bringing the past incorporated to the new him. One of the things that I noticed when I did the President Abraham Lincoln was that the colors that I used was the colors of the flag. And the kids loved them. But when I did the young Abraham Lincoln, I have a 10-year-old, so the kids will come to the house and they will stop and just gravitate to him. Even though I did not like him as much, I wanted to change him. So he was in my living room for like, I will tell you, probably like 4 months. I keep looking and looking and I said, I need to change it. But all the young kids were loving him more and asking me questions about him. And I was wondering why. And I said, so I did a good job. I brought the young people, I brought the spirit of him being young, and the young kids were asking me questions about him. So I said, never mind, I'm leaving him just the way he is now. So I'm really happy with the results and everything. Any questions?
What are you
You
working
did?
on now?
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Huh?
What are you working on now? Like, what's your next inspiration?
I do. I'm working in the lady. Let's just say like that. As I was working with him, this lady keeps coming up in my head and I said, oh my God, you're next. And I do fight it. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do you, I'm gonna do something else, but she keeps coming to me, keeps coming to me. So now I'm actually reading and trying to search so much about her, and you guys will see it. You will see it here. This is my home now. So,
Look forward to it.
yeah. Thank you.
Your Lincoln really is great. The face image of Lincoln, and I mean, there's so much artistry there. How did you go from realistic portrait, which you initially used different colors and pieces of wood, and then suddenly you changed it to a different format,
Yes.
different style, because you wanted to tell about the transition
Yes.
in the history and in here.
Yes.
I mean, that takes a lot of artistry and imagination and guts, because people might say, oh, you know, I like the way it was on the left-hand side, but the right-hand side. But I think what you did is amazing. So
That part I did it because, like I tell you, I keep him almost for a year with the other side, just part of the face. And obviously my husband was like, I seen a lot of him. And I said, I have not done yet. I'm gonna make it different. He said, you have to make it your own style. And I said, I'm working on it. It took me a long time to figure out how am I gonna do that, because the whole face was done. But I said, no, I just don't like that. I just want a little bit of him into the past and then bring that into here. How can I do that? And that's when I come up with the idea just to leave the eye and then just everything else in wood in the past. And I like the color. I was gonna paint it, but I said, no, there's something unique about that burned wood with him that I just like it. When I left it like that, just the eyes and everything else in wood in here, my husband looked at it and said, wow, now you did. And then I said, thank you. So I would feel good in there. And then I wanted to continue. I only have him. It wasn't until I reached to you that I wanted to show my art. And he asked me, what is the name of the exhibition that you want to do? I'm like, I don't know. What do I need? He said, you need to send me a few pictures. And I said, oh, I didn't know that I had to have a few things, to make an exhibition. And that's when I said, definitely, I'm going to do everything that is in my head now, just to show him that I can do art. And I'm here today.
That's great.
So,
Were you always creative? I just find it amazing. You just you didn't do art, I take it, and you just kind of
no, I
discovered
went
like
to.
a part of yourself. I guess discovered your artistic.
It is.
self.
I went to school for interior design and graphics,
Okay.
and my professor in interior design told me, "You are too artistic," because I would do some designs in the walls and some furnitures. And then I remember he looked at me. He said, "You are way ahead to your time, because there is nobody can do that. Or you need to go into the artistic side because you're too artistic for that." And that stuck into my head, and I said, "Oh, he didn't like anything that I did. That's what he's trying to tell me." But no, he actually told me, move. I'm from Puerto Rico, so he told me, move out of here, go to New York, go to some other places, explore, and maybe you will find exactly what you want to do. I moved here. I went to New York. It was a little bit too crazy overwhelming for me, so I moved to Maryland. I was born here, just to let you know. But I pretty much became a hygienist. Forget about the artist, got married, had my kids, and never done this after that ever. Until my husband told me, do something, you can do this. Stay home, do art, something like that. And it's my first thing.
So he gave you a lot of support.
Oh, without him, yes, I would have not been able to do this. He actually pushed me to the maximum. So
That's
I'm not going to continue creating more stuff.